Actually, there's something very peculiar to our organization. It's related to the fact that we have a foundation. We're not trying just to build some projects here and there. We are trying to create an ecosystem. We look at our bigger brothers that have already some processing factories. So many of them struggled actually to make it work properly and to generate enough profitability. So we don't want to be facing the same caveats. And for that, we have decided also to open our equity. So we are open to shareholders focused on processing. So they can be our future partners in terms of technical partners. And we are opening those gates to other technical partners depending on which factories that we will be using and so on. Again, this idea of ecosystem, for me, it means also that we need to think in terms of how do we integrate everyone, that being the private sector, the public sector, the regulators and so on. How often do they sit together to actually take decisions? How often do our regulators have the chances to be in the same room and really discussing the challenges that the organizations are facing?
Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode on Africa Discourse channel. We are having conversation about investing into the future in agribusiness, and we are talking to a couple of startups that are building businesses in agriculture and then creating innovations across Africa. We have one of the founders that just pitched with us. We are going to have a conversation with him, get to understand what his startup is doing, the kind of investments they are looking for, and then the kind of partners they are looking to work with in the future. So I'm going to pan over to my guest, allow him to introduce himself, talk about his startup, and then we'll continue the conversation from there. Hi, sir, and welcome to Africa Discourse channel.
Hi.
So can you please tell us your name, what your startup is about?
Okay, so my name is Joseph and I'm assisting Agrosource. It's a company based in Ivory Coast, but not only in Ivory Coast. We also have operations in Liberia, in Ghana a little bit. We also have operations in Gabon, Benin and Guinea.
Okay.
Yeah, so we are, basically we were traders. We started in late 2016 and we wanted to conquer the market and try to do more than just trading raw materials or anything. We wanted to transform, to process the goods. So we saw an opportunity in rubber. So that's like our big focus is on rubber. We were seeing how the market was growing 16% and so on in Africa. So we delve in, and we're happy today to say that even as kind of a startup, because we started lately, we already reached 70 million in revenue.
Okay, $70 million US or?
Yeah, so that will be in US dollars, exactly.
Okay, that's impressive. So you mentioned you're interested in rubber currently. What inspired you to venture into agriculture in the first place? And then why rubber?
Yeah, that was started by Adnan Ashiru, the CEO of the firm. Basically, he was an entrepreneur. He was in cosmetics. He was in Europe. He was feeling great there. But at some point, he was feeling that he needed to give back. When he came to Africa, he saw that there was a land of opportunity, and more specifically in agriculture. It was seeing that there was the opportunity to do export and import. But then at some point he saw that they were asking him, can you provide rubber from Ivory Coast? Ivory Coast is known for rubber, you know. So opportunities come to him before he gets to them when it comes to rubber, and it proved to work well.
That's great. So what makes your organization different from other organizations that are doing probably the same thing or are also venturing into rubber?
Actually, there's something very peculiar to our organization. It's related to the fact that we have a foundation. We're not trying just to build some projects here and there. We are trying to create an ecosystem. And if we want to do it right, to do that ecosystem properly, we need to think it in terms of everyone that is there. We need to feed everyone somehow. How do I do to make the farmer feeling better, his wife, his daughter and other kids? So we created a foundation. So we have a foundation embedded with our organization that helps the ladies to get involved in the work that we are conducting. We are training the farmers so that they create more values. We are assisting even their children in returning to school, feeding them, also rebuilding some libraries and so on. So whatever we can do to the ecosystem that makes it more consistent and everyone being able to find some benefits out of it is benefiting to us, because at the end of the day, when they have less production, they come to us because they know that we are providing more than just a few monies here and there.
Okay. All right. So I want to understand your market and then the
Sure.
impact. So how is like your chain or your system? Like, is it that you get from the farmers and then sell it to like industry, or like an aggregator just between farmers and industry, or how does it work?
Actually, we started just by doing exactly what you described: traders, aggregators and traders, because we were selling it in international markets. But at some point, we decided to go even further and try to acquire the whole value chain. So basically, we are traders, we are producers, we are also processors. We transform the rubber directly in Ivory Coast and hopefully soon in other countries.
All right, that's impressive. You came to the event to pitch for funding.
Yes.
So the question is, how much funding do you need, and what is the plan for the funds? How are you intending to scale up and use the funds in case you get the funding?
Yes, sure. So first of all, we are targeting to have a minimum of 3 million shortly. That's like the immediate needs to complete a small plant. We have already started to invest in that. That's why we're not asking a lot. We already involved with around 7 million that we have already put in on the table. But beyond that, for that future growth that you're speaking about, we are targeting to have 38 million in total. So we have already received some grants from a German organization called KfW. We have also received machinery and as well as a solar farm of a value of 3 million euros, and that's for 3 megawatts, and that was from BPI-France. And today we have already been in discussion with a Belgium organization called Enable, that is trying to assist us so that we will be enabled to reach our goals to have those 3 factories producing, and then thinking about how we can assist some organizations, some factories that are already there, but that are struggling in terms of profitability.
Okay. So aside funding, are there any kind of specific partnerships you are looking at acquiring to expand your reach?
Definitely.
So what are some of the partnerships you're looking at?
Yes, there's some technicalities that we don't master. And as Adnan, our CEO, used to say, we look at our bigger brothers that have already some processing factories. So many of them struggled actually to make it work properly and to generate enough profitability. So we don't want to be facing the same caveats. And for that, we have decided also to open our equity. So we are open to shareholders, and we are already in discussion with THR, for instance, an organization in Southeast Asia that is focused on processing. So they can be our future partners in terms of technical partners, and we are opening those gates to other technical partners depending on which factories that we will be using and so on. So definitely, I believe in that view that I mentioned of ecosystem. In that ecosystem, there are also other organizations that can be helpful to us, and we welcome them.
Right, great. I think we're speaking about your success, your growth, but what has been like the biggest challenge you faced from probably you guys starting the startup to where you are now, and how were you able to overcome it?
Yeah, of course, one of the big challenge was always to learn from the environment, to learn from how do you deal with regulation changes? How do you deal with being able to pay every single salary every single time, even though the market is kind of cyclical? And we had to have the whole team getting stronger to make it happen. For instance, our CFO is still learning at the same time. That is being the CFO at the same time is continuing to go to school, learning more and bringing this knowledge on the table. So we already have that view that we need to keep learning while we are facing and addressing some challenges. And I hope that this formula will keep working for us.
Okay.
But we don't know what may come in the future. So we're trying to stay as flexible and to adapt as much as we can.
All right. So before we wrap up, we've had conversations about going agribusiness in Africa.
Yes.
Where do you see your organization like in probably 2 or 3 years as growth? And then how do you also intend to use that growth to also amplify agribusiness in Africa?
You mean in terms of?
So where do you see your organization being in the next, let's say, 3 to 5 years? And how do you also intend to help support the growth in agribusiness in Africa, basically?
So basically, my focus will be on the transformation of good. And I really like this word of transformation. For me, it's like when you put something in the microwave and you look after it, sometimes it looks pretty different. And we were not doing that for a while. And it's good that we were also embracing our raw food, raw goods and so on. But at some point, we also need to embrace that. What can we do with all this gold, the richness of everything that we have there is so great. So, and I really believe that thinking about transforming the goods, the processing phase, entering into that is something that we're starting to do more and more in Africa, and that's where we will create most wealth.
Okay. So before we this as our closing question. Sure. So what would be your last word if you were to speak to a policymaker or an investor that you think they could do to be able to help agriculture grow in Africa? What would be your message to the investor or the policymaker?
Yeah, a key message could be to bring together all the forces. So again, this idea of ecosystem, for me, it means also that we need to think in terms of how do we integrate everyone, that being the private sector, the public sector, the regulators and so on. How often do they sit together to actually take decisions? How often do our regulators have the chances to be in the same room and really discussing the challenges that the organizations are facing? The more often they do it, the more often we have the chance to discuss, have those discourse. I believe it will bring just more bridges that will just lead us to new heights, and we really need to work on that. So congratulations for the idea of what you're doing, because I think it's the solution actually.
Thank you so much. So I'm done with my questions,
sure.
But I would want you to also speak to our audience, let people get to know how they're able to reach your organization. If there are new projects coming up, people should check out on your various social media or on your website. You can kindly tell our audience about it so we can share.
Thanks for that. Yes. Yeah. So first of all, we are Agrosources. You write it like AGRO sources in one single word. You can find us on the internet pretty easily. That's the first thing. And second thing, one thing that we're trying to promote a lot lately is related to our latest project. It's a new company called Pure Power Africa. Okay. What we do with Pure Power Africa is that we have a technology called solar gems. It's like tiny containers that each one of them can bring 75 kilowatt of energy, but you can combine them. For instance, we will be powering a 2 megawatt plant just with those solar gems. And I really believe that's a solution that can be useful for us as well as for others. So I will invite you to look into our website, but also to look into Pure Power Africa. I really believe it's a part of our future in our country.
We are looking forward to seeing the amazing project. So there you have it, guys. We spoke to a representative from Agrosources, and they've shared details on how you can be able to reach them. They are building amazing stuff, impacting lives, so do well to check them out. My name has been Nakode, and thank you for joining us on this episode. See you on the next one.